guys, welcome back to another episode of Barbie Talks. As you see, we are in a different location and I am mid styling my hair, so don't mind her. We just getting her laid and slayed. Our audio quality is going to be a bit different for right now. I lost a piece to my wireless mic, which was really such a downer to find out right when I was finishing. So we are using my attachable mic, which we're just vibing with. So if you are new here, of course, subscribe to this channel, The Brown Barbie. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, of course, follow this channel for more goodies, because we are bringing the heat, the knowledge, the wisdom for the rest of this year, okay? So, oh my god, I didn't put lip gloss on. I'm being so extra because I'm not in the pod studio, so I feel like this is giving me like flashbacks of me just filming YouTube videos back at home. So I feel like that's why I'm like, so yeah, girl. But we're podcasting today, girl. Anyways, so I really want to talk about rewriting your story this episode and how things from your old reality will literally make themselves apparent in many ways. So I actually just watched a video today about this. Obviously, I've talked about this content throughout this pod and throughout this channel, but I don't know, somebody told me just watch that video. I just want to hear her perspective on it, and you know, she was just saying the same things. When you start to shift into this new reality, this new belief system, you literally at one point have your half of your body in your new life and half of your body in your old life. Now, I'm going to give you guys two reasons that this can be happening. One reason that this is happening longer than it should, and then the other reason of how to get yourself out of that body and like when you're just in that middle point of like expanding. So, understand that you can't believe in two powers, right? If you feel like you are in that stage of, oh my god, I feel my new life, it's so good, I'm getting good things, I'm manifesting, everything's going perfect, I have a new self-belief concept, my limiting beliefs are going down, etc., then you also have your times where you get super low and those limiting beliefs do come back and you have these bad days and then you think things are happening to you and start to gain that victim mentality again and you start to feel like life is happening to you. That's because most likely you are believing in two powers. And you have to remember there's only one power, and that's source. There are no disappointments. We receive happy surprises, and God is absolute. There can be no opposing power unless man creates a counterfeit of the evil for himself. Did you guys hear that? Unless man creates a counterfeit of evil for himself. Do you guys know what counterfeits are? Counterfeits are fake. When you are creating this fake being, this fake omniscient God, and allowing it to have all this power over you and take power over your life, you start to not have faith. You start to not believe. You start to think things aren't real. Like, you literally go back. You cannot have your foot, you can't straddle. You have to be all in with this process. So that's why understanding that there's only one power source and that there only is good helps you to step fully into that new door. And I don't want to jump too much in of stepping fully in that door. I still kind of want to remain on this. We have to understand a lot of things in this world are introduced through lack, which is secrecy, mistrust, a lack of trust, doubtfulness, and negativity. And just as much as there's those powers, there's also the counter of those things. Trust, happiness, fortune. There's, as much as you have your bad, you also have your good. So when you're in this mindset of being straddled between two universes, you have to understand that's because you are probably still having some kind of lack within your system or still having some distrust with source that is allowing you to stay in that place. And you can't live at two places at once. You can't. Especially with this method, you have to go in. That's why episode, was that 16, I believe? Episode 16 or 17, I talked about you have to get delusional if you want a new life. This is just a fact. Delusion, everything that was ever good, ever created, came from delusion. There was a band of people saying, this is impossible, this didn't happen. In my honors course, in my past semester, we watched, oh my god, why can't I remember the name now? Wow, I'm so sad. It literally just jumped off my tongue. But basically, we watched the movie of how they broke the Enigma. And everyone thought this man was psychotic for trying to create this machine that was going to break the code. But he literally saved the Germans. Like, without him, it would have been horrible. It would have been absolutely horrible. And I hope I'm getting that story right. But the story was super powerful and super uplifting to watch. Even the people closest to him, his colleagues, also doubted him a lot. So he really went through a lot mentally, but he never gave up on himself, and he never gave up on knowing that this is possible. Impossible literally says, I'm possible. This is not a coincidence. We know a television says, tell a vision. We know fear is false evidence appearing real. Was there one for imagination? There was another one I had. I forgot it at this moment. But all of these things are written in our face that, yes, there are undesirable circumstances. Yes, there are things that are out of our control. Yes, undesirable things happen every day. And yes, things don't seem like they're moving in our favor. But that's only because they're not moving in the way we want them to move, right? That doesn't mean it's not happening. That doesn't mean it's not never going to happen. And that doesn't mean what you're thinking, what you're dreaming is false. So, understand that if you have a thought, a creation, a dream, or whatever, that is for you. And if you are in that moment of straddling between this double life, then you've seen the fruits of your labor being given. You've seen the happiness that can come. You've seen that other side. So don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. Fully to step into that side of the door is releasing any resistance of control to source. You have to understand that sometimes we do think we know what's best for us, but we actually really don't. That's probably the hardest thing that I have realized this past year with my spiritual journey and me learning to release control, release anger, regulating my nervous system, and that whole process. You don't know what's in store for you, and there's so many things. I said this, I think the last one, about the tier cake. Don't be so anxious for instant gratification. Don't try to rush things just to get success. Don't try to rush things or get quick money. Just to understand that this is a process and this is a journey. And you really want to value this journey, because once you get to your destination, there's gonna be another destination next. You're not gonna sit at that destination and just be done with life, right? The value comes in your journey. The value comes in the small things you learn now, the grit you get, the resilience you gain, the life skills you learn, the people you meet, the things you learn, the time you spend alone. This is what makes that destination valuable. And for me, this was a really hard thing for me to learn, because I used to always cry to God and be very angry at God, source, the universe, whatever resonates with you. And I used to say, I'm ready to be an influencer. I want to be an influencer so bad. Like, I'm ready for this. Like, this is for me. Like, why are you not giving me this? Why am I seeing people who are doing a quarter of what I'm doing getting more than me? Or why am I seeing people use not moral ways and they're getting more from me? Like, why? I hate you. And this year I learned I wasn't ready. And not because the talent wasn't there, the skill wasn't there, the love wasn't there, the genuine interest wasn't there, the personality wasn't there. It just wasn't my time. I think back all the time and I'm like, if I would have gained notoriety from any of my videos, like heavy followings, any of my videos of makeup, anything so small, it would have sold myself so short because I have so much to give to this world and it's so much bigger than surface level. And what I'm doing here is really pushing the envelope. I'm really tapping into a different field. I know a lot of people talk about this on YouTube, but I really want to get into metaphysics. This is my thing. This is my realm. I love philosophy. I love psychology. And I want to be able to share that with a community that wants to grow and expand their mind and become their best self. All of the extra things are just perfect. You know, I don't even want to say you. I'm going to put this back to like my story again. You know, for a very long time, I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted my white coat. I knew I wanted to open my own practice. I knew that that's what I was going to do. I knew I was going to save people. I knew I was going to heal people. I didn't know if I wanted to be an emergency surgeon in the trauma unit. I then went to plastic surgery, and then I went to a research scientist. I always kind of still had a basis of research, helping people, etc., but still wanting to reach this super high level of notoriety, not only to validate the people around me that I feel like don't validate me now or validate me at that time, but also to validate myself that I am worthy of doing super big things, and I felt like that was the top of the tier. I said all that to say, with my mind shift, I've realized the exterior is not what needs to be healed. It's inside that needs to be healed. So, you know, I didn't realize at that time when I'm trying to heal people, it's really reflecting to me in my life what I'm compensating for and how I'm shielding myself and stopping myself from something so big because I'm reaching for the validation from other people, the instant gratification, my ego was leading it, all of these things that really had no correlation to my actual real purpose. Everything I've done has been to help people, empower people, make people feel like their most beautiful self. I'm not that type of person that ever gatekeeps. I never was. I literally, one girl on Instagram, she's doing great. I used to always send her video inspo, and you know, to this day, she doesn't even really acknowledge me or really like show me love on my page. And I say that to say, like, I'm never been a gatekeeper. I've never been somebody who held back information from people. Like, I always really want to see people do well and become their best selves, even if that's at the detriment of me and whatever that may be. But what was the point of this whole story? The point of this whole story was to really emphasize how now in this point in my life, I realize that the healing is from within. As much as doctors are valued, we need to value our therapists, our psychotherapists, our psychiatrists, our life coaches, our mentors, our light workers, because these are the people that are really making the monumental change throughout this community. The makeup and the hair, the clothes, the lifestyle, the travel, and all that stuff is super fun, and I can't wait to continue to integrate that with my new brand and my new values and my new purpose. But this is so much more fulfilling, you guys, because you have to remember, you really have to be the change you want to see in this world. And some people have the gift to be able to really influence that change. And I think I was thinking too small when I first started doing influencing in hair and makeup and picking up the camera. But I'm so grateful now that I'm at this stage in my life where now I have all of these tools. I have all of these tools. Now I'm flexible. I know how to get myself together. I have this, I have that. It made me so malleable in the best way. And understanding that if I didn't have that understanding and value this journey, I would still be at that spot of condemning God, being very angry at life, being very envious, being very jealous. And I would never understand this girl. I would have never met this woman, this young woman that is blossoming into such a beautiful person that's here to help the community and help people. I would have never met this girl. So value your journey, value everything that, comes your way, and take everything with a grain of salt. And that's not in a condescending way. Like, I always say that because I feel like when a lot of people say things to me, they're like, oh, it's adult life, suck it up, or, take it with a grain of salt, or you don't have to stick in. And it's like, I take it as very condescending because it's not that I don't have that. It's not that that's not how I'm thinking of it. Some things hurt. But if someone says it to you instead of, take life with a grain of salt because this is helping you for your journey, this is molding you, this is preparing you something different. It's being processed differently if someone's saying, oh, it's adult life, just get used to it, or, oh, you don't have thick skin, you don't have tough skin, it's a different way you even receive that message. So that's why I always emphasize that I'm not being condescending when I say that, but these are the things that really shape you for your future. And once again, when you're in the middle of that door, when you are straddling between those two doors, y'all, you will get tested. You will get tested. You will see really how far you are. And you will see if you're at that stage yet. You will see if you are at that stage where you are actually, things are happening to you now, and you're able to identify it, but then you're able to just go, okay, I peed, and move on. In the video that I watched, she said, you have to understand, reacting is signaling that you haven't grown. Reacting is signaling that you haven't learned this lesson. Reacting is showing that you didn't pass this test yet. And I think that was so true. This is going to be another Miles story time to emphasize this because this just happened to me yesterday and I'm super proud of myself. Someone that I was very intimate with, he had ghosted me in a very unconventional way. It was very odd. The situation was not handled very mature. This person was much older than me. I say that to say that age does not equal maturity. That age does not equal how someone will show up for you. And he reached out to me yesterday, Friday night, and he tried to apologize for how it was, but the apology was so insincere, he even admitted that himself, and it was just so pitiful for me, right? And it felt so pitiful because I'm at this stage in my life now where I'm so exhausted of my value being, I'm so exhausted of people trying to negotiate my value or counter my value or contradict my value, make me say, oh, were you really worth this? Are you really, and kind of treat me in a way that doesn't align with how I treat myself. I am putting so much energy and love into myself at this moment in time. Anyone I'm around, that needs to be reciprocated, or you need to respect me. And in that moment in time, I seen what I allowed in the past, because for him to think that was going to be a suitable apology shows me, yes, even if I would have showed up in this way in the past, we wouldn't really know how the situation would have been. But the fact that you thought that was going to be a way for you to get back in kind of shows me that I wasn't really aligned with my higher self back then, because you would have never stepped that way. You would have never said that to me that way. And even how our conversation went. And, this goes on with several past people that I have dealt with and I have spoken to. Just seeing the way they communicate with, it's been happening to me a lot. Honestly, the past, week and a half, 2 weeks, I've had, 3 to 4 old flings kind of hit me up and talk to me, and I was just so disgusted, because I was just I allowed this in the past. This is how our conversations flow, because at that time, I didn't have self-respect for myself. I didn't have self-worth. I wasn't aligned with how a woman should be treated besides me, besides how I look, besides how small my waist is, besides how smart I was. As a woman, you should be treated with respect, dignity, and grace. We are literally the second people to source. We are creating life. So that needs to be respected. So when we allow these people to condescend us and speak down to us, and then we also stoop so low to their level because we don't know our worth and our value, it's so heartbreaking because as a woman, even as a human being, you deserve more, but damn sure as a woman, you deserve more. So throughout that time, literally this was 2 days ago now, I'm filming on a Sunday, I responded very classy. I responded very poised. I didn't feel the need to argue, curse, or get super mad or get super nasty. And, you know, all my friends were like, you know, I'm so proud of you. Handled it so calm. And I just thought today, like, wow, like, I haven't thought about it all day. It just really passed my mind. I'm not pondering on this. I'm not beating myself up. Oh, I should have said this. I should have said that. Like I would have done in the past. I'm not overthinking it. I got my answer on why we stopped talking, and that was it. And for me, that showed so much growth because I'm starting, those boundaries are getting solid. They're getting more and more solid. Like, you cannot break down how I view myself, how I know I should be treated, how I know someone should stand up for me, because I'm aligning myself so heavily with those boundaries and I'm sticking to my own word and trusting myself that you can't even mess that up. You can't even come in and shake the tower because I know my worth and value. The purpose of that story was to really emphasize when you are living between two lives, there's going to be a lot of undesirable circumstances to try to get you back into your old life because that's comfortable, and you need to do your best to resist it. You need to resist it in a way of not like and like fighting and giving into and give attention, but just, okay, this is just something part of my old life. I'm done with it. Handled it. Next. I don't carry myself this way anymore. I don't do this anymore. I go this way. And, you know, with my situation, it doesn't even have to relate to anybody that you were intimate with or someone that you talk to. It could even be family. Sometimes a lot of people's really tests come with their family because a lot of people don't understand that you're growing your own autonomy, you're becoming your own person, and you are not the same person you were before. So a lot of people can also have a lot of issues with their family throughout this time, a lot of issues with their friends, a lot of issue with cohorts. The list goes on. So, you know, understand with that story, this is a real life update with y'all of how this whole process of quantum leaping, shifting into a new reality, manifesting, living in the end state, all of the things that kind of come with it when you are taking the longer way. I definitely could be very transparent that I am taking the longer way. I think there's a few things that I still need to really buckle down on that could possibly be holding me back, but everyone's journey is different. But understand, nothing is not happening in your favor. Nothing is not happening for a reason. You are at the right place at the right time. Always. You are lucky. You are valuable. Never compromise your worth for anybody. I don't even care if it's the richest man in the world, the finest man in the world, the finest woman in the world, your dream crush forever. Stand firm on your boundaries, because at the end of the day, you are sleeping with yourself. You have to deal with yourself every day. You look at yourself in the mirror, and when you look at yourself in the mirror, are you proud of yourself? When you look at yourself in the mirror, do you think, wow, like, we really held ourselves to a good standard today? Do you think that? And I just said all that in the mirror, and I feel like I can look at myself in the mirror and be like, yes. So if you can't do that in the mirror, that's also a bing, 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 bing indication something is not correct. And you have to go back to being very candid with yourself, kind of do a check-in with yourself at this moment in time. How are you showing up for yourself? Are you sticking to your own personal boundaries, etc.? What are you doing? And kind of give yourself a check-in to see if you are still aligned with yourself. So, of course, we reached the midway point of this episode. we haven't been doing TNT questions, which has been completely accidental, but or quotes. So please, I'm so sorry, y'all. Yeah, that's just my brain working five miles a minute. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm trying. But today's TNT question would be: is your worth and value aligned to what it should be? Is your worth and value you are showing to the world aligned to where it should be? You have to understand that with subjectivity and objectiveness, that's the beauty of our world, right? Just like we have the beauty of free will, that's also the beauty of the world. You can label yourself $1 million and many people will amount to that. And it sounds crazy because a lot of people don't see that type of wealth or seen that treatment around them, but it's very true. You don't ever have to sell yourself down because there's always going to be someone who wants you at that price. And it's the same thing like when women are, just with anyone trying to lose weight, you know, everyone always has to be reminded like, hey, your weight right now is someone's goal weight. And sometimes you do need those moments to kind of reshift you back into the present, because you guys understand, when you're thinking that far along and when you're thinking like that, your mind really isn't in the present. You're not living in the present. You're living in the future or the past. So when you are having these thoughts and, you know, you are kind of going back to that old life, or, you know, if you're in that old life and you're trying to reach your higher self's life, when you're compromising for people, when you're not knowing your worth, or when you're knowing your worth and compromising, when you're being malleable for everybody else but not yourself, when you're not being selfish with yourself, the list goes on. That's mostly you living in the past or in the future. And that really just came to me because you have to understand your now shapes everything. What do you think of yourself now? Everyone holds their value of so many past experiences that we have no control of. We have no control of how we were treated in adolescence by most people, peers, family, friends. We have no control over that. We didn't have control over the clothes we wore, what food we brought for lunch. You know, all of these things, we didn't have control over that. So, you know, so many of us are measuring our value and our worth to something that is unmeasurable. Anything that happened yesterday is not my today. I don't care what happened yesterday because that has nothing to do with my worth now. And when you measure these, a lot of people base their self-worth and how they should show up on this world by how people have treated them in the past, by how situations have went in their past, their undesirable circumstances, their life story. But you can always revise your life story. This is not the nice feathered magic pen where you are just signed that story your whole life. The sooner you understand that you could revise your story, the sooner you can step fully into that new life, into that new being, in your higher self. Don't be afraid to revise your story. Every part of our life is a book or a chapter, depending on how you want to look at it, and you're constantly growing, you're constantly evolving. But if you constantly stay in one book or one area in your life or one mindset or one negative thought of yourself, you will never evolve. You will never become to your best self. You will never be able to reach that higher power and that higher potential because you are continuously living in an old story. Understanding your worth and value is beyond any outside perception is really what's going to help you through this time. I don't care how people treated you in the past. I don't care if men or women look at you when you go out. I don't care if men or women think you are or not attractive. I don't care if society thinks you're smart or dumb. It doesn't matter what any outside perception thinks of you. What do you think of you? What is your story? What is your ever after? You do not have to succumb to misery, a tragedy story, a negative storyline, just because that's what your life has been. There are so many things that are beyond us and so zoomed out that have nothing to do with us that we all have experienced throughout our adolescence, our childhood, and even in our young adult life. And a lot of these things have absolutely nothing to do with us. I'm going to be 1,001% honest with you. Take any psych class or any sociology class. These things have nothing to do with you. Even if someone's like targets you, still really has nothing to do with you. That's why understanding the principle that life is a mirror from within really helps you build this energy from within. So then now that's being reflected without. And that energy within is being comfortable with yourself, trusting yourself, knowing your worth and your value, and knowing who you are as a person. And a lot of times we get super confused and it's like, oh, I don't know myself. I don't know who I am. And it's not so definitive as you think. When you start to trust yourself, when you start to gain that worth and value within yourself, you start to figure out what your purpose is in this world. You start to figure out who you are. You start to figure out all of these things, all from just trusting yourself and knowing your worth and value. You start to figure out who you are. So many people try to figure out who they are, what's my life story, what's my life purpose, without trusting themselves, listening to what those inner thoughts are actually saying. Do you know your worth and your value? Are you living in an old storyline? Jumping too much in the future will also keep you in that past storyline because you do not know what you need to shift to get you there. The present shapes your future. You have to be present every day. And I personally have had both seasons where I lived too much in the future and then too much in the past, and I feel like now I'm actually getting aligned with being super present, and it's a different experience. It's a different way to experience life. And honestly, it's a beautiful way to experience life as well, because you can actually freaking enjoy life. You know, honestly, I was gonna say everything comes with its pros and cons, but this doesn't. This allows you to be so much more stable in the world when most people are living so much in the past or so much in the future. This makes you the standout. This makes you the valuable contender. So at this point, I definitely feel like at this point in the pod, with all of the episodes, if you are not caught up, what do you want your story to be? Do you want your story to be filled with misery, trials and tribulations, hard times, negativity, people not respecting you, people not loving you, you not loving yourself? Or do you want a different story? Do you want a better life? Do you want, what do you want? What do you want? And it's time, it really is time to get serious about that. I know in all of the other episodes, I've never been super pushy, and I know I say, like, it's your time, but I'm just being really called to say, like, hey, it's your time. It's your time to wake up. It's time to take off the goggles you have on your eyes. It's time to be candid with yourself. What do you want out of this life? And whatever you decide, obviously it can change throughout the years. Maybe you are just not ready to receive that message. And as I'm saying it, we have an hour and 11 minutes left to film. It's crazy, this life. All I can say is there's no need to wait. Don't be afraid of this. This is going to bring you so much more joy and prosperity than living in misery. I've lived in misery my whole life. Probably from ages like 10 to 18. 8 years I spent thinking that I was worth nothing. I wasn't beautiful. I would never do anything with my life, or I had to strive to the highs to finally get claps and appreciation. Not valuing the people around me. All of these horrible things, treating people horribly, all for something so many things that had nothing to do with me. All of these things I was angry about, with holding grudges and always wanting to make sure all of these things just holding me back from this beautiful, fruitful life, to be able to just sit outside and just hear the birds have a conversation, just relax. Relax. That's what this life is meant to be. relaxing. Your higher self wants you to relax. Source wants you to relax. Source wants you to understand that it is guiding you. It loves you. It is never leading you down a road that you cannot handle or that is not for you. Source is always doing things in your favor. You have to release your ego, release that you think you know is best, and release these negative perceptions you have of yourself so you can receive it. So Source can lead you. Source can lead you to get whatever help you need, whatever resources you need, whatever tribe is going to help you get through this next point. Release the resistance. Let Source control your life. Allow yourself to help Source control your life. Allow yourself to co-create with this world and make yourself happy. The money doesn't matter. The materials doesn't matter. All of these super stupid things don't matter. And I get it. Money is needed. I get that. Money is needed. But what is needed more is the actual trust within the journey and the gratitude every day to even allow you to be able to hold and value that money. Money comes and goes, you guys. Like, trust me. When I say trust me, I get the money. I get it all. But it all is so what's the word? It's so stagnant. You know, it can come so fast, as quick as it came. It can leave as fast as it came. Love, friends, all of this stuff. But what doesn't leave is you. What doesn't leave is Source. You are never alone in this world. You never are going through things that don't make sense. You are never going through a test or a trial that isn't for a bigger purpose. So what do you want your story to look like? And are you ready to rewrite your story? Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our episode of Barbie Talks at Home. Oh my God. I do plan to get some actual podcast studio time and guests and all of that stuff. So that should be coming soon. You know, we're in the beginning of June and we have about a good 2 months. So, we got about a good 9 episodes here. So, by the time I get back to the actual pod studio, we'll be on episode 30. So we'll see. Once again, you guys are going through all of this in real time with me. I hope that you are even seeing value, that I'm being as transparent and real as raw as I'm saying with you guys, and, letting you know that this isn't an easy process and that it is going to take patience and time. But it is worth it. I really do love all of you guys. I hope you are enjoying this. I hope you're seeing value. I hope something I've said in any of these episodes have contributed something to your life. You are really meant to be prosperous. You are just meant to thrive in this world. You are not meant to suffer. So with that, enjoy your day. Have a blessed day. And just give gratitude to yourself, because you're the one making this work every single day. Bye.